I am here with Don. Don, tell us a little bit about your home.
Well, I enjoyed the cowboy type of lifestyle because I'd worked in an area where that was the prevalent way of life. So I came back and tore down a large barn and a machine shed and harvested the timbers that you see in here and the barn board behind me. And after quite a few months of hard work to get them ready to bring them indoors, they're now in place because of the good work of the contractor.
So tell us about your inspiration. Let's start with these beams.
Well, these beams came from a barn that was built somewhere between 1910 and 1916. And they were a mortise and tenon style barn. In other words, the barn was not held together with nails, but with dowels. And once we started to cut these timbers open, we realized that they were very old with as much as 160 growth rings in them. So the trees that are used in these beams were actually started growing at about 1750, pre-Revolutionary War. They're very old.
And how did you link up with the builder to make this all a reality?
It was a matter of just doing a little research and reaching out to Custom Kreations because they had been recommended by 3 different people. So it just required to sit down and do some planning, get the blueprints drawn, get the estimates. And the good thing is that this contractor was kind enough to allow me to work with his crew each and every day, so I was able to be very interactive. There's a lot of contractors that might not have allowed a homeowner to do that, but these folks were kind enough to do it, and I'm very grateful for that.
We were thrilled to do it because I knew our guys, our craftsmen, could create and work with Don to accomplish what we did here, and so we were happy to do it, and it turned out great.
So the barn boards were taken down one at a time. All the nails were pulled out. They were hand washed. They were debugged so that we didn't bring any carpenter ants or borers into the house. And then after they were washed, they were sprayed with a lacquer finish to cut down on a problem with dust inside of the house.
So tell me about the lighting inspiration for this home.
So the wagon wheels were made by a wheelwright in Pennsylvania. They're made out of hickory. They're handmade, and the chandeliers that hang from them were salvaged from a supper club that burned to the ground. So I sandblasted them and repainted them, rewired them, and hung them from the chandeliers.
Who came up with this elaborate, awesome idea?
I did. I had the good fortune to have enough of these timbers left to do some things. So what I did was went to Menards and got some pendant light kits, went to Fleet Farm and bought these $10 buckets, drilled holes in them, and wired them up. We already had the block and tackle that we had salvaged years ago, and again, this is another chandelier that came from a supper club that burned to the ground. So it was just a matter of just cleaning it up, rewiring it, and having it hung.
Tell me about the chinking on the walls here.
Well, many years ago, the settlers in our country had no way to insulate their homes other than to use straw and mud and horsehair to keep the wind out. Now, because of modern building techniques, we're able to use things like Portland cement and silica sand and lime to do the same thing. So it's just a throwback to the years ago to give the house a little bit more of its old character.
This fireplace and these beams, tell me about the iron up here that you used.
The iron that I used, it was salvaged from the railroad, and it's heavy, half-inch thick plate steel. And what I did was sandblasted it and laid out a design so that it would support the timbers and kind of hold everything together, and then welded it together and painted it, and the contractor was nice enough to put it together.
So how much pride do you have after years and years of collecting and storing all this and all the work that you've put in? How much pride do you have from this, looking at your outcome here?
It's very satisfying. Because there is thousands of hours of very hard manual labor tearing down the barns in the cold in the winter and dealing with raccoon feces and animal waste and all the smells and stuff that go with it. So in order to get it to this point, it required several thousand hours of labor. So for me personally, it's very satisfying.